playing this game changed my mind. Marvel Rivals closed alpha just finished May 20th. At the time of this recording, that's yesterday. And I have a lot of thoughts for you. I got to, I think, level 11 or 12 in the alpha. I played as much as I possibly could. It's been a busy month for me, and I have a lot of thoughts about this game, a surprising amount of thoughts. So I was very blessed to get a code that I was gifted from my friend Prashan, which if you all don't know Prashan, you should definitely go check out his channel. He's a Marvel Snap content creator, but he's also going to be getting into Marvel Rivals. I'm sure we'll be playing a lot together once the game is released on stream. We actually did play on stream together as well during the closed alpha, and honestly, it was really fun playing with Prashan. So Prashan, thank you so much for gifting me a code, and also thank you so much for playing with me because I had a great time. I'll put a link in the video description and perhaps in the pinned comment to Prashan's channel if y'all want to check it out. Highly recommend, and we're also going to be doing some collabs over there as well, so if you like Marvel Snap and you like learning about the lore of characters that are in Marvel Snap, we'll be doing a lot of cool stuff in regards to that. So let's start off by just talking about kind of what it was like jumping into this game. It was a little, at first I felt a little bit discombobulated, I'm gonna say, with the menu and just where I was at. I was like, oh my gosh, discombobulate a little bit.
Discombobulate.
I had to go around and find, just information on the characters and just getting used to the flow of sort of how to get into the games, all the different modes. In fact, you could actually get more codes to give out to friends if you made it to, I think it was level 5. I think it was level 5 or level 6. And I did not know where to find that for so long, so I actually missed getting more codes, which I was really sad because I did want to give some to some friends to play with. Namely, I wanted to get one for Uptown Duck, but that's all right. Next time, we're all gonna hopefully be able to play together. Hopefully there'll be more people that are invited into the beta because I do want to play with even more friends. I already am trying to assemble a squad of 5 other people that I can play with regularly, or more, so we can have people rotate in and out. That was a little bit of an adjustment for me, but once I was in the game, I do think that it's pretty easy in terms of the different modes that you can play, seeing that. So in terms of the user interface, some of it was a little confusing for me, but then other things felt pretty intuitive. I started out by playing some AI matches at first, just to get a sense for how the heroes worked that I wanted to try out. And then once I had played some AI matches, I was like, all right, time to quick match, time to play with real people. I love playing online games, but I tend to be very hesitant about jumping into matches with real people because I'm always afraid of disappointing people. And the one thing that I really do like about Marvel Rivals is, although this is a style of game, a 6v6 PvP, that I feel like a lot of people have a handle on, especially over me. The nice thing is, because it is a new game and we're all learning these heroes and we're all figuring it out together, you do feel a little less intimidated just jumping in at the beginning. So I started out playing Punisher at first. That was someone in my chat that picked Punisher for me to play. And Punisher I did like, but I didn't really gravitate towards him as a character. It's interesting because with Punisher, he has a turret that he drops, and I thought that that was really cool because it's really powerful, but there's never really a great spot for you to drop your turret. Like, you are very vulnerable because you're stuck in a spot until the turret time is up, so you do have a big heavy gun, but it's kind of like, where do I put this turret? Where do I place myself? I will say with Punisher, though, I do love the fact that you can switch between sort of 2 weapons. You can have something that is more of a spray further away, or you can have something that's close up. I also was not used to the idea of just holding my trigger, so at the beginning of the game for me, I was like thinking I have to fire my weapon and not realizing that your right trigger in this game, you can just hold it down. So if you're new to this style of game, yeah, pretty much everyone you can just hold down right trigger and either slash your sword or fire your projectiles or whatever it is that you're doing. So that was interesting. So yeah, I only played a few matches with Punisher, and I did like Frank, but it wasn't my... From there, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna check out Magik. I really love Magik in the comics. Obviously, I'm a huge X-Men fan. If you're new to the channel, hello, I'm Amanda. I'm a massive X-Men fan. So I was very excited to check out Magik and see what she had going on. I love the fact that she has her Darkchild transformation, even though they did spell Darkchild wrong in this game. in regards to how it's spelled in the comics. But, you know, it's a multiverse, so I'm just gonna let that, we're just gonna let that go. It's a multiverse, so it's a multiverse. Anyways, moving on. So, Magik is really fun to play, but she is a little tricky. I will say, I don't know if she's as tricky as they have her ranked at, so they do say she's a 3-star level difficulty for her character, but she is a bit tricky in the sense that she is squishy. So she is kind of this assassin style character where what you're trying to do is get in, you know, get a couple hits in, do some damage, and then just like get out of there. That's why, you know, she has her portals that she opens up. She has her stepping discs, and that's how you're kind of moving across the map. But she also has a nice rush, which I liked to reserve to get myself the heck out of there if I needed to. But also it's really good for moving across the map if you just respawn and you want to get right back into the action, get back to your team if they need you. I loved her Darkchild transformation, and she does some damage. So she is, I think, the character that people are saying is like the most like broken, but I also don't think she actually is broken because you do have to play her well to really utilize her. If you don't know what you're doing with Magik, or if you don't know how to properly, my favorite way to do it was kind of to flank people, get in at the back, which is usually where the ranged and the healers are, the other squishies, to hopefully take some of those people out, get out of there, and get back to my team, heal up a little bit, and then go back in and do that again. So when it comes to people just picking up Magik and playing with her, she's not just a character you can just play with and destroy everyone. However, if you do know how to play her well, yeah, she's extremely powerful, especially if you have a balanced team that she's on. So I really loved Magik, and for a while there I thought Magik, I might be a Magik main, and I'm still thinking that to this moment. I really enjoyed Magik. I do wish she had some more fun skins in this that we got to see. She has the Amethyst skin, which I did unlock. We're going to talk about skins a little bit more in a bit, but yeah, that was the one thing, but I do love her soul sword. I do like this design for Magik, and she was really fun to play, ultimately. From there, I jumped into Scarlet Witch. I also did some streams. If you guys want to check out the streams, you can head on over to the live tab here on YouTube, check them out. I also do stream on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/vampx13. You can find me over there. I try to stream like 5 or 6 times a week when I can, when my schedule permits. So yeah, do come over and say hello sometime. I was playing as Scarlet Witch, and I also did some Scarlet Witch cosplay stuff. So it was obviously I had to play Wanda. I also love Wanda, and it was really cool to play as her in the game while also cosplaying as her. But she is tricky to play. She is, as you would expect, pretty squishy, magic user, and she has chaos magic. So what she can do is she can basically attack people with her right trigger, firing chaos magic at them. That charges up her ult, and her ult allows her to unleash this blast of chaos magic that disintegrates people. Yeah, she literally like wipes you from existence. I mean, not entirely, you will respawn, but that was kind of the vibe to me. It felt very like warping reality. It was really cool. The one thing is when she does cast her ult, she's got to be in the area, and she's got to kind of charge it up to dispel the magic. And when that is happening, she is very vulnerable to attack, and she's very squishy. So she is really challenging to play in terms of knowing when to pop your ult and making sure that the ult, you know, goes off without a hitch so that you actually get to do some damage, take out some people, and not perish yourself. So Wanda I found quite tricky to play, but I think I also was just getting too excited and wanting to rush in, which I was just playing someone previously who has a sword, and I had to get more used to staying back, firing from afar, and then knowing when to go in and when to pop that ult so that I'm not as vulnerable, hopefully, and I can get the ult off and actually do some damage. But people, I would say, people that are crushing it at Scarlet Witch, I think she is kind of one of the most broken characters. I don't even think Magik is, because I saw some people dominate as Scarlet Witch. She is so powerful if you play her well. I'm still working on that. I don't think I'm the best Scarlet Witch player, but I do think she is someone that I'm going to play a lot because she has great synergy with Magneto, who is also really fun to play. Oh my goodness. So I played Magneto for a little bit, And wow, he is fun. He can shield you. He's got magnetic shields he can throw down. He has these rings that he charges up on his back, which I also had this hilarious moment when I was learning his character where I'm learning about his abilities, and I remember I noticed the rings on his back, and I was like, yeah, but what are the rings for? Like, why do we care about these rings? And then literally the next thing is explaining his cannon, which is using the rings as ammunition to fire the cannon, and I was like, oh... that's what the rings do. So the design is not just a design, it's actually you're building up sort of your metal that you then can use in your cannon. You can also, of course, fire metal at people standardly, but then you can also charge your cannon. And the cool thing is you get really amazing synergy with Wanda. So when Wanda's just around you, her chaos charges you up, and then you basically get these cool chaos charged swords that you can use to attack with. When you press Y, you can activate that mode and you can just go nuts. So Magneto is pretty crazy. He also throws an asteroid down on you. Obviously felt like a little asteroid M vibes, but also just in general throwing asteroids pretty nuts. He is really fun. He doesn't quite fly, but he does sometimes move up, and like Wanda, what happens is you can fall and you can hold A to sort of slow your falling so that it's like you're kind of flying. I will say I found holding A and trying to do anything else with Magneto or Wanda was really challenging for me. I don't know if that's just me, but I did find I'm like, oh gosh, my hand isn't, I can't, I'm struggling with my controller. So Magneto was a good time. He's really good for protecting you. He's so fun to play, and he's powerful. He is also a beast. He has tons of health. So he's just really fun to just get in there, mess people up, shield people, protect your other allies on your team. Just a great team player, but also a great powerhouse of a character. I also played a little bit of Luna Snow. I did want to try a little bit of healing. Luna was fun, but she is so squishy. I would say I like her ult the best, which is you can switch between two different modes, one where you're healing and one where you're boosting your allies, and you kind of do like a little performance, because Luna Snow, for those that don't know, she's a K-pop singer. I think she's the character that people knew the least about, I found, in my streams. Like, a lot of people were like, who is Luna Snow? Why Luna Snow out of all the people they could pick? So my theory about that is that I think they picked Luna because she is Korean, and I think they wanted to appeal to the Korean market, which is obviously going to be a massive market for a game like Marvel Rivals, and I think they just wanted to represent. And Luna Snow is a cool character. She basically has ice powers, but she is also basically a K-pop star. She appeared first in 2019 in War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas, in issue number 1, and she's cool, but she's really new. So if you are like, I'm confused, that makes sense. She's a pretty new character. She was fun to play, but I do feel she is tricky. I don't know if she's the character for me. Probably needed to play her a little bit more, and I probably was honestly just rushing in. But I also felt like I had a team. I just felt like not enough was getting done, I feel like, when I was playing her. So I was like, I guess I can attack. I can be the person to do that, because she does have the ability to attack or heal. So I was, I think, maybe getting a little too hasty and charging in a little bit too much with Luna, which is, yeah, something I have a tendency that I want to do when I play games, clearly. Charging when I'm not supposed to. I played Iron Man for like a second, and I could not figure out flying. Make sure when you start a game, if you're playing as any of the heroes, sometimes there's a little prompt that comes up from Galacta, a little bit of text that just describes extra abilities to you or just ways to use your abilities together. Read that. If you have a character that can fly, she's probably explaining to you how to fly and which triggers to use. I also didn't look at Iron Man's abilities before I jumped into the game. I just, mid-match, you can basically, if you die, when you respawn, you can choose to switch your characters, which I do like. And I just thought for fun, I was like, you know what, maybe I'm the problem and we need to like a more balanced team. Maybe I'll try Iron Man for a second. And yeah, I just kept running into walls, and then I got brutally taken out. Unsurprisingly. But I do want to try Iron Man. He does look really fun from other people playing him. However, I think my favorite character that I played in this game was actually Storm, which is also interesting because Storm is a support character, and I know some people might be offended by the fact that Storm is a support character, but I actually loved it because I do feel like Storm is the type of person that is there to, I mean, she's a great support in the comics, and she also is kind of this leader role. She's a very strong leader, And I like the idea of her kind of being at the back, kind of making sure everybody else is good and like boosting her team so that we can all be strong as a unit. That does feel very Storm to me. Also, her ult is literally goddess tier. Her ult is my favorite ult I think that I played. Her ult allows you to basically turn into a storm. You summon the storm, and what you do is when you activate it, you get to choose the spot where you want to drop the storm, and then anyone, once you unleash it, that you basically come into contact with is probably going to die. Now, it's not a full guarantee. If they're a beast of a character, you might have to really stay on top of them for a second, but anyone else, any of the squishies for sure, are one hit and they're out. So the ult is very ultimate indeed, and I did enjoy playing as her, and I think her support is also really fun. You get to boost your teammates either in terms of their speed or in terms of the damage that they do. You got a nice area of range in terms of the people that you can boost, and you can also attack by basically throwing wind at people or throwing down some lightning. That's your left button, I think, so that does have to recharge, but the wind is the constant right trigger. So she's just really fun to play, and she can fly, and I had finally figured out, oh, this is how you fly. And I just think an up and down axis on top of everything else is really, really, really cool. I like flying, and I want to become a master flyer, so hopefully I'll get to play more Storm in the game, and hopefully they don't change her too much, because I really loved what they were doing with her. I did think she was super OP, but she's also very squishy as well. So you do have to be careful with how you play her. So there is some pros and cons to playing as that character. I would say as a player, I'm not usually super into supports, but then every now and then I'll find a support that I love, like Yuumi in League. I love Yuumi. And like Storm in Marvel Rivals, that I just feel like really fun supports. I really hope I can find a healer in this game though that I like, because yeah, maybe I'll try Mantis. I think Mantis does some healing. I didn't get to play as Mantis. So when it comes to the lore of Marvel Rivals, what is the lore about in this game? A lot of people were asking me that when they came in, like, how's the story in the game? Had a few people come in and ask me that. And we don't really know too much about the lore, to be honest with you. I did watch a official Marvel Rival content creator who did a video on it. Their name was Tana. I'll put a link to their video in the video description if you guys want to check it out. And they kind of went over some of the lore. There wasn't a lot in there that I didn't already know, but they did say something that was pretty cool. I'll get to that in a second. But first, the general lore of the game, which is not present at all, I feel like, in what I played, but that's fine. I'm sure we're getting to it, is that there is a version of Doctor Doom in this reality, the main continuity Doctor Doom, but I don't know if it's the main continuity Doctor Doom of Marvel Rivals, who is in a fight against 2099 Doom. And these two Dooms are basically creating massive multiversal events, things that are messing with the world, creating new worlds, it's chaotic. These two are battling over who should rule. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to unite across the Marvel Rivals multiverse to battle against Doom, defeat Dooms, and save the multiverse. Because who wants Doom to rule the multiverse? Other than maybe you do want Doom to rule the multiverse, but let's not forget, actually, no, you know what? He is a pretty good leader, though. Like, everyone in Latveria is pretty happy, but, I don't know if we'll have free will. So let's say free will, if that's what's at stake. At the end of the day, Doom is a villain. We don't want him to rule. So we're trying to save everybody by opposing Doom. And that's why we're all banding together. Except that when you play the game in the alpha, none of that's really in there. Instead, it almost seems like Galacta is going across the multiverse and trying to solve problems, and we have two teams of individuals that are representing a different side of a conflict, and you're trying to battle against each other to figure out which side of the conflict is going to win. So I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know if there's two Galactas. I mean, there's definitely two Dooms, apparently, but there wasn't a lot of Doom presence in this. Tana was suggesting that they felt the story here felt like it was inspired by Contest of Champions in terms of what we have from the game. I personally am getting, with Doom's involvement, a little bit of 2015 Secret Wars maybe, but ultimately I do think this is going to be a completely original story, but just in terms of maybe where it's taking some inspiration from the comics, if it is. I also feel like 2015 Secret Wars is clearly going to play a role in the MCU, so it might make sense that it's also somewhat tied in here. Love the idea of an omniverse where, you know, everything can kind of coexist. That's very much what we have in Marvel. So if this is a multiverse, we maybe have other multiverses that are layered, and maybe Secret Wars is going to ripple throughout, though probably not in the comics, because we already did that in the comics. But I digress. So the story is there, but it's not really exactly what they're offering us as the main storyline. Mostly it feels like Galacta is sending us around to do different missions, and then we're battling a different team that's representing the other side. The maps each have their own mission objectives that we're trying to focus on depending on which side of the team we're on. Either we are escorting a payload or trying to stop a payload from moving forward, or we are, in the case of the Asgardian map, we're just trying to defeat each other to hold an area. So there's an area of control that we need to hold on to. And we're both battling over that area of control. Or the Yizgard map. I think it's like Yggdrasil, but like mixed with Asgard, so Yizgard? Is that how I would say that? And then in the 2099 map that we have in Tokyo, 2099 Tokyo, we seem to be helping Spider-Zero, or trying to stop Spider-Zero, from progressing to go through the web of life and destiny. And for the one where we were escorting the chariot, there are things. There's lots of little details that they've put in there, but I still feel like they're gonna put more in. So while there are fun little things, like there's a little message from Spider-Zero at the beginning of that mission. There's like Loki comes and talks to you and he's like, you can't stop me. There still, I think, is a lot that they're going to be adding in and fleshing out. So the story's kind of light right now, and there's a lot of things that we don't really understand, but I'm sure they're going to fill it in, and I honestly can't wait to see what they do with it, because I do think it's really cool that they seem to be really into the idea of building a whole multiverse and a whole world around this game. So hopefully that works out. Galacta, by the way, for those that don't know, I didn't mention her name in my first reaction, and then everyone's like, you don't know who Galacta is? And I was like, I just couldn't remember her name off the top of my head, and I didn't want to get it wrong, because that's even worse than not saying a name. Trust me, I've done many videos on comic book content. I know if I mess up a name, it is worse than me not saying a name, because people, when I've made mistakes like that, just from trying to pull things out of the top of my head, people be harsh in some of those comments. But yes, Galacta is the daughter of Galactus, and she is present in this game and seems to be wanting to help us, which is very, honestly, very Galacta of her. She tends to be a little bit more heroic usually than her dad is. Although, you know, Galactus has had his moments and been a hero before. Overall, I thought this game was pretty good for an alpha. I really liked it. It's not usually my kind of game. I haven't actually played Overwatch before, you know, 6v6 PvPs before, but I had so much fun playing. I was very pleasantly surprised. So I'm really excited. I know I was a naysayer when I did my reaction, and I was like, I don't know if we need this, but I don't think we do need this, but it is really fun. And I think if this is not normally your style of game, I would urge you to check it out, because it's not normally my style of game, but I really enjoyed it, I think, because of the Marvel aspect. And it is really, I think, easy to pick up and try to learn a character and just jump in and have fun with your friends. And honestly, I don't need to be amazing at the game. I just need to have fun playing it, and I felt the fun a lot. It does have a ton of similarities to Overwatch, especially. Some of the maps are literally like 1-for-1 with Overwatch maps. Some of the characters are literally 1-for-1 from what I've seen. If you want a video where I go more into that, let me know, because I can. But you know, I'm not an Overwatch player, so I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. And if you guys want more lore in terms of Overwatch versus Marvel Rivals and how the characters and builds and things overlap, let me know. Things I thought the game did well. The character abilities, I feel like, are a good reflection of who these characters are in the comics and just, you know, in the world of Marvel, in the Marvel universe. I thought it was really fun to play. I think it's going to be even more fun and just very different once you're playing with a group of friends that you know, where you can actually plan your strategy ahead of time and really communicate with each other. Obviously, I was playing with a lot of people that I don't know personally, a lot of strangers in the quick matches, so some of those teams worked really well. Sometimes we had like zero synergy with each other, and we were all trying to kind of play the same type of character, and it was a mess. I think it's going to be different when we have people that are actually a squad, you know? That's when I think it's gonna be really fun. I think some of the things that I feel like could be improved is some of the maps I wasn't a big fan of. Just some of them felt a little too open to me and not enough going on in terms of areas for me to interact with or hide behind. I think my favorite was the 2099 Tokyo maps. Ultimately, I really liked that. I think the destructive environments could use a bit of work. It's not very clear sometimes what you can destroy, what you can't. And I just wasn't a big fan of all of the destructive environments that were included in here. But at the same time, I think it's a really cool concept, and I can't wait to see how that evolves as the game goes on. It's just the alpha, so. Some of the flavor for the characters I also felt could have been built up or been a little deeper. There's some stuff that feels very surface level for me, and as someone that's a huge comic fan, I would love to see a bit more explored in terms of who these characters are. However, I also agree that is me maybe nitpicking a bit based on my own experience and my own biases. So I think for, you know, general fans, this will be pretty good, but I think they could do more with it, and I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate it. And honestly, I think adding depth is never a bad thing. It's also maybe just going to get people more curious about the characters, and hopefully get them more interested in maybe the comics or animated shows or movies or TV shows, things like that. I also feel like some of the voices for these characters is not what I would have expected, and some of them I feel like could use a bit of work. Some of them sound similar. Too similar. Wanda, Magik, looking at you. The game is, of course, also somewhat glitchy, but it's an alpha, so I think that complaint is a bit moot. I'm sure that'll be fixed. Honestly, the glitches I found were very minimal. I barely had any glitches. I think I got like stuck on something once. Other than that, I don't think and I had some lag. And that was all I experienced, but I saw other people experiencing more glitches, so just wanted to put that out there. Something that I want to see more of is more skins. Some of the skins are just recolors. Some of them are a little bit more in-depth, and I want to see more in-depth skins, but I also know it's really early, so I'm not going to judge too much. I also would love to see more characters. I want to do a whole video about all the characters I want to see. I want to see so many characters in this game, and we need to talk about that. But also I know this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, and I hope that it continues so we can get more characters, because I want to play as them and see what they do in terms of how the character is explored, their power sets are explored, and who they are is explored through their abilities in the game. I think that'll be really fun. So yeah, just keeping in mind it's early days. Those are some things I'd love to see more of, but it is early days. This was just the alpha. We have the beta, and then we have the release, and there's going to be so much, and then seasons, and it's going to be crazy. Yeah, overall I had so much fun. I can't believe how much fun I had, guys. I'm really excited for this game. Wow, I wasn't expecting it. But I love when I'm pleasantly surprised by things. I love when I'm like, I'm not sure about this, and then I get it, and I'm like, oh, this is actually great. That's my favorite. That's what I want everything to be, honestly, when I'm uncertain. I want to be pleasantly surprised, and I was. I had a lot of fun. I do like the graphics. I do agree that it's very Overwatch, but I don't think that's a bad thing. In fact, I don't know, maybe I gotta play Overwatch. I heard Overwatch 2 is not very good, but I don't know. This was really fun. Maybe I gotta play Apex. I gotta play something. I don't know. Something while I wait for Marvel Rivals. Let me know what you suggest I should check out while I'm waiting for Marvel Rivals to return, if there are games like this that you love, and I will give them a try. Thank you so much for watching this video. This has been already far too long. I had way too much to say about this game. And until next time, friends, stay nerdy.